Hey y'all, what's up? This is Seth here from True Seed. Welcome back to the first, what is this? True Seed, True Talk? I think we're going to call it True Seed, True Talk. Maybe a little series here where I can just share some insight and really just mindset that I think is really critical for founders, entrepreneurs. If you're a first-time seller, welcome. This is where we have the ability to talk about what most companies in their early stages really care about, which is making money. I think that for our community and what we're trying to build are founders, entrepreneurs who really just care about having this problem solved, which is how do we scale? How do we really get over the hump? And I've sold SaaS, which is software sales, specifically technology, over the past 10 years. I've also sold services across 10 plus industries. I've closed over 20 million in outbound deals. 7 of my years were just cutting my teeth and selling, an enterprise. For some of you might not know what that means, but big deals with big companies, going through extensive sales cycles, having conversations with a lot of executives, and in that time, this became my thing. This became the thing that I put my 10,000 hours into. And so after those 7 years, I really wanted to start helping early stage startups and early stage business owners understand how to build the blueprint and how to set up a successful sales foundation so that they could generate revenue repeatedly. So that's where we got True Seed from. True Seed really came from us working with a lot of different founders and seeing that there was a pattern in the characteristics of how they were selling. And selling is really a skill, but it's also a science. There's a methodology to how you do it the right way. There's a formula. And that formula usually is not given to the founders or the entrepreneurs of the world. There isn't even a lot of content, because the last thing that I wanted to do was really just get out here and start creating content. Like, I'm not really a camera person, so when I start doing a little bit of that research and development and seeing what was out there, I didn't really come across any of this content, which is what is really pushing me to put this out there. And after having a lot of people ask for us to put it out there, this is what we're doing now. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about really what keeps a lot of founders, in my personal opinion, from achieving greatness early on in their first run at developing companies. Because there's a saying out there that says that first time founders and entrepreneurs focus on product, and second time founders and entrepreneurs focus on sales. And the reason why is because when you first start off, you think it's all about the product. You think about how sexy it is. You think about how functional it is. And then you realize that you spent so much money and so much time trying to make the product look really great, but you never learned how to really talk to someone about the product. So what I see is that closing is always overlooked, and the role of the closer is it's not appreciated enough. I want to talk to y'all a little bit about closers and the differences between people who actually learn the skill of selling versus people who are starting their own business for the first time. And I want to teach you actually what you need to do in order to become a great closer. And so there's a maturity model that you can kind of think about where you are if you're in early stage sales. You're either proving your sales methodology or you're ready for sales support. Most of the time, and based off of characteristics of your sales motion, we can identify that most founders, because they have not closed a certain amount of outbound deals or inbound deals or generated a certain amount of revenue, we can pretty much assume that they're still proving their sales methodology, which is really figuring out, how do we sell here? If you know how to sell, then that means that you're ready for sales support, which means that you have repeatedly closed a deal. And you know that in many different verticals that you may have or that you're selling into, that no matter what, consistently you have predictable revenue. What I want to teach you all is how to respect that skill of learning how to sell so that you can start to learn that yourselves and how to go about that journey, right? So closing deals is not something that you automatically just pick up because you're running a company. It's not something that just happens. If you're not getting that yet, we're going to break it down today, because the myth that a lot of founders that I see believe is that they've got like this deep passion for their products, or they know their business inside and out, but closing deals, it should just come naturally to them. It's like, hey, well, we just need to hire someone to come and do this. Or, you're like, yeah, I know how to do it, but, we haven't done it that much yet. And it's because we got to get more marketing. I mean, the last thing you want to do is spend money on marketing and you don't know how to close deals yet. Just like any skill, it takes practice and it really takes work. I'm talking about I'm talking about week in, week out, day in, day out, year in, year out. And that's the difference between closers and founders. I was an account executive for 5.5 years. If you want to become an account executive, usually you have to be really good at being a SDR. You have to exceed in that role, which means you have to get good at understanding how to create messaging in email, and also communicating in cold calls, language that converts, that moves a prospect from not knowing anything about you to wanting to be on your calendar. Account executives have succeeded in that. They've been promoted to account executives, and once you become an account executive, you just move up from there. Your salary goes from 45K to somewhere around 60 all the way up to 80K. If you have been in the game usually for 5 to 10 years, you'll start to see higher salaries, but usually in SaaS and tech sales, which is really lucrative, if you like to close deals, usually your on target earnings on top of your salary matches what you're making on a yearly basis. So if you're making 80K as an account executive, you're going to make 80K in commission or more, and it's usually never capped. So I've seen enterprise account executives close high 5-figure commission checks as well as 6-figure commission checks. It's amazing. That's why you don't see a lot of account executives that turn into sales directors or that are just at one company forever, because they're always hireable. So they spend their days, their weeks, they spend years going through hundreds and thousands of sales cycles. That's how they get really good at it. And that makes sense because they're refining their skills to the point where they get paid a lot of money to close. That's why companies will pay account executives a lot of money based off of their experience. So what makes them so good is the fact that they're always learning from each call. They know what to be looking out for. They know what they need to get better at and what they're not doing well in. And usually they have some type of support to help them. They know when to push, they know when to pull back, when to negotiate, and most importantly, how to handle objections like a pro and qualify. Usually founders are trying to hire closers, but the average tenure of an account executive inside of a early stage company or founder-led sales organization is about 1 year. Not a year, about 1 year. And that's really short for tenure for sales folks, because anyone that has been in the world of sales knows that if your account executives are leaving in underneath a year, that means they're unhappy. Right? If you're making money, usually you're happy in a selling role. So that's a big red flag. And so the environment's not set up for them to succeed. And they don't have a repeatable process to follow. You all, as founders, you're going to have to get really good at understanding your sales process. It's not going to be ad hoc. You've got to get really good about not just getting the yes, but knowing how to lead a conversation, right? You got to learn how to handle the no's. You got to know how to qualify, how to identify if you're going to waste your time on a deal or if you're not. You got to know how to put them in a second space where you can nurture them through webinars or through filtering them out to a different community as you nurture them, because you've got to be able to identify if they're truly ready to move forward. It's a difference between being interested and someone who has intent to buy. And you've got to be able to know and spot out the differences there. And this is not optional for you guys. This is something that you've got to learn because you got to teach it to somebody. You all know that early stage of your business, if you don't have funding, even if you have funding, I mean, I've worked with founders who have received $2-3 million and run out of that money and not have any sales. They got all the money for the product, but they never learned how to sell. So then they're at zero, and they're learning for the first time after realizing that you need to focus on sales first, that this is really important and we should have did this first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually give you guys the playbook, right? And the playbook is actually putting a playbook in place. As crazy as that sounds, it's not just getting out there and winging it. You need a set of steps that you're going to follow, a blueprint that's going to guide you through the process of closing a deal. And that's what makes the sales process repeatable, because you know what the steps are. That's what a process is. It's a set of stages. It's a set of steps, right? And this can start from how you introduce yourself, to how you share your vision, to how you introduce your value proposition, to how you share your first deck, to how you execute your demo call of your product or your service. This is a playbook that talks about how to walk through negotiation, how to walk through a proposal, how to close the deal. And this makes sure that you're not guessing every time. You all have talent because you have the passion behind the product. You understand the problems, the challenges that your potential clients are suffering from, and you all care about them more than anyone else. You're the first evangelist of your company. So that is the raw talent that you have. And you usually do really great in talking about the vision of the product and what it can do. But when we get into the micro, as far as how to start diagnosing different companies and understanding their problems and then becoming someone that's selling but not pitching, that's where it becomes really difficult. So I think that a lot of times us founders and entrepreneurs, we don't have access to an ecosystem where there are sales coaches or there's even resources that you serves as like the go-to, the gold standard for how you execute. And there's not a lot of people out there that can give that to you, because why? They're making a lot of money doing what they're doing, which is closing. So one of the things that I wanted to do to make sure that you all have this information is to get this information out to you. It is going to take out the guesswork, but it also helps you become successful a lot faster. And having that coach is really important, because it's not about just putting it in place, but how are you executing it? That's where having the coach to come in and help critique the process really comes in. They can help you see where you're slipping up. They can give you that feedback on how you can improve your pitch. They can give you that strategic advice on how to qualify the deal better, or how to shape that deal so that you end up having a higher profit margin than not. They can tell you, hey, this is how you close this deal more effectively. Let's talk about, what you've communicated, what they've communicated back. What are the red flag signals that you're not seeing that they can help you identify? It's like getting a lay of the land. It's understanding how the defense is playing and how they're setting up so that you can understand the best offense to win, against that defense. And so these playbooks are going to be used in real time. Right? You're going to have a playbook or a script for your discovery call. You're going to have exactly what to ask, exactly what to show, how to show it. You're going to know with different types of people that you're talking with inside of a company, how to specifically pitch or connect your product or solution to that specific roles, challenges, or their strategic goals. So this is a lot of information that you've got to get out of your mind, and you got to put inside of a document. You got to make sure that it's something that someone can go, no matter if it's your product person, if it's your CFO, if it's your co-founder, if it's someone on the marketing team. Everyone needs to live and die and breathe and eat and sleep out of the sales playbook. All messaging and language comes from this one documentation. It is the lifeblood of your organization. So you've got to learn it. You've got to practice it. You've got to keep getting better at it. It's not about just being passionate or knowing the product. It's really about respecting the closing process and then developing the skills that make you effective at selling the deals. So if you need a sales playbook, we have that resource for you. I want you to go to our website. I've got the link down in the description, right? Reach out to us so we can put that sales playbook in your hand. We can give you feedback on the different components of the sales playbook. In our next video, we're going to actually be talking about and breaking down the pieces of a sales playbook that you should have, right? And then if you need some additional materials, or if you just need feedback on how you're going to market and how you're selling, also reach out to us, right? You can get a free consultation and just get some feedback. You can also sign up for our newsletter, where we have a lot of tips, a lot of templates, a lot of frameworks that can help you throughout your day-to-day, what we're seeing week to week, and giving that feedback back to you guys so that you can, again, hop over these steps and maybe some of those blockers that are keeping you from moving quickly. So at the end of the day, I really appreciate y'all, and more True Talk from True C is coming. Let me know what your questions are, what your thoughts are. If you have any comments on how this is affecting you, and if you've had a paradigm shift at all, I'd love for you all to put a like on the video, and please share that with us. All right, until next time, talk soon. Seth out.